Obviously we're outside today. Today is day one of a new training cycle. So those have been following along for the past couple months. I've been doing more of a training cycle focused on training for explosive power, training for the 40-yard dash, the broad jump, a power clean. We did all of our testing last week. I took a few extra days off after that was over. And now we're going to be starting a new training cycle today, which is going to be more geared towards strength-based in the weight room and then longer sprint distances on the track. Specifically, what I have in mind for the end of this training cycle is probably going to be like a 60 to 100 meter dash to end the sprint phase. When we get into this strength phase, we're going to be ending with some like 1 to 3 rep maxes on like your traditional strength movements. So squat, bench, maybe a front squat, strict press, different variations on strength movements on those. Being day one, I want to kind of regress what I've been doing on my previous Mondays and try to build up towards that longer sprint volume. So what that's going to look like today is basically just going to be hitting some tempos and some easy extensive plyometrics. The tempo sets that I have in my mind is I want to do anywhere between 8 to 12 total repetitions on 100 to 120 meters on those. So I'm going to finish up my last little bit on the warm-up. We're going to do some bounds, a couple easy build-ups. I'll start knocking out my tempo work somewhere between 100 to 120 meters on each of those tempos. And like I said, 8 to 12 total reps on that. I'm going to break those up into sets. So I'm not just going to go 8 straight reps or 12 straight reps. So what I have ideas, I'm going to do 2 sets. And the first set is going to dictate the total number of repetitions that I'm going to do today. So I'm going to do a minimum of 4. After each of the reps, whether it's 100, 110, 120 meters, whatever it might be, I'm going to take about 30-second break after each of those reps. And then I'm going to do my 4, 5, or 6 repetitions on that. After the 6th rep, I'm going to take about 6 to 8 minute break. And then I'm going to repeat whatever I did on that first one. Minimum amount of repetitions in one set will be 4. That'll get me to my minimum goal of 8 total repetitions. At most, I'll end up doing 6, which would put me closer to that 12 rep total for the tempo work. But before we get into the tempo work, one thing I am adding in onto my Mondays is a little bit more extensive plyometrics. So we're going to do some light, easy bounds, some pogos, and some different hops prior to getting into the tempo work. I'm going to knock out all the tempos. And then when I finish my session, I'm going to end off with a little bit more extensive plyometrics, maybe pick up the intensity just a little bit on some of those pieces, but try to put a little bit more volume on those plyos to kind of build that quality in the tendon tissues, all the connective tissues, and just kind of build that foundational base for what we are going to be building off of over the next 12 to 16 weeks. Enough talking. I got some work to do. Let's get into it. Whew, all right, I did 4. See, this is why you give yourself a bit of a range. I knew 4 would be the minimum. Part of me was thinking maybe I could get to 6 on that first set and do 12 total. No chance. My training for the last few weeks has been very short and sweet. I haven't been building up to do any sort of volume. So for me to even think I could do 12 total reps today, now that I've done the first 4, it's just foolish. Absolute foolery. The rest, I did 110s. I wanted to do somewhere between 100 and 120. If I did 120s, I'd have to run through this giant puddle that's on the corner of the track there, and I don't want to run around with my feet soaking wet. So decided to just go straight 110s. So what I did is I started at the start for what the 110 hurdles would be. I did my 110, walked about 20 meters, turned around, walked back until I was 10 meters past the finish line, and then I ran back to where the 100 meter start would be. So it's a 110 going both ways. Easy to do. My original plan for today's workout was the tempo works that I was going to do was I was going to do some turnarounds, which is the reason why I'm thinking 110 to 120 is because the turnarounds I was going to do were going to be at 60 meters. So what if you're doing tempo work, and let's say you're following along with my program, sometimes I'll write out tempo work to 80 to 100 meters. Not everybody has 80 or 100 meters to do. So turnarounds are a good way to still get some tempo work in. And what a turnaround is let's say you only got about 40 to 50 meters of open space to work with. But you got to do 80 meter work on your tempo. So what you do is you run your 40, slow down, turn around, and go right back, hit the next 40 with as little rest in between those as possible, and then take your longer rest after you finish that. So it'll be rather than running 80 meters straight across, you'll go 40, 40, and that would be one rep. So that was what I was going to do indoors today. I was going to do 60 meter turnarounds. So 60 meters out, slow down at your natural pace to slow down, turn around, 60 meters back, 120 total meters. That would be one rep. And I was going to do that 4 to 6 times. That would probably be more manageable to try to get 12 reps of those in, because that little break kind of allows for a little bit of rest prior to doing your 60-60. So getting out onto the track and doing full 110s, much different, even though you're still trying to maintain 75% intensity. The distance is also going to be a dictator on how that rest and that intensity is going to be. So 75% for a 60 is a lot faster than 75% than for a 110. Those reps I was doing there, because I've done a lot of my work indoors at that 40 to 60 meter range, I was basing my 75% off of that. I went too hard. So this next set of 4, I'm going to dial it back a little bit, focus on being smooth and feeling good and not feeling like I'm struggling to get through these reps. And we'll knock out another 4 like that. Then we're going to go into a little bit more of some plyos, and that'll be the end of the session for today. So I feel like I've rested probably 5-6 minutes. So let's knock out 4 more 110s, and then I'll talk a little bit about how I'm implementing these plyos into my sessions over the next 8 to 12 weeks. Oh, all right. 2 things. 1, I am not in 100 meter shape. Running and practicing for a 40 is not the same as running and practicing for 100. And today has made that very apparent. Number 2, well, this is like 2A and 2B. 2A, I'm not sure how the edit of this is going to come out. It's extremely bright outside, even though it's overcast. So I don't know how the end product is going to look here. So if the color quality and all that is a little bit off, bear with me. I'm not an expert on how to color grade, but I'm going to try to make this look as good as possible. And then part 2B, as you guys can see, I am squinting my ass off right now. So I should have sunglasses on right now. I have a very, very low tolerance to bright lights. The fact that I played American football for so long, bobsledding, multiple concussions, plus just rattling my brain all the time has made it to where my sensitivity to light is really, really high, to the point where no matter what time of year it is, if it's daylight out, I'll have sunglasses on because the light irritates me that much. So today is a struggle because I feel like I just need to sit here with my eyes closed while I talk to you guys. even though it's extremely overcast and you can't see the sun, that brightness still just kills me. Like, I can't keep my eyes open for more than a couple minutes at a time, where I feel like I need to close them to kind of give myself a break. But we're going to end today's session with a little bit of extensive plyometrics, something to help also build a base volume of jumping. The extensive work that I'm going to do is kind of that borderline of extensive and intensive. I'm going to be putting some high effort into this, but it's more extensive than it is intensive, because we're going to be looking for quality of total, like, distance travel over the course of each of these sets. A lot of this type of plyometric work I have stolen from Matt McConneell over at Plus Plyos. I worked with him for probably 2 to 3 years while I was bobsledding, using some of his Plus Plyo stuff as my plyometric work for a lot of my track sessions while I was on the US bobsled team. A lot of the concepts that he uses, I'm going to be taking those concepts and kind of integrating them into my program the way that I would like to integrate them into my program. So if you're not familiar, Plus Plyos, he has some great programs on there, all the way from like very beginner to intermediate to very advanced. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing are things that I stole from him, and should give him credit for it. So if you ever steal something from anybody, as long as you give that person credit, 99% of the time, that person's not going to care. But if you steal something from somebody and you try to pass it off as your own, that's when people start to care. So I want to give a shout out to Matt McConneell over at Plus Plyos. The things I'm about to do here are definitely stolen from you, but I'm implementing them a little bit different than probably they were intended to. So ending today's tempo session, going into some intensive plyo work, and then not going to do a lot of volume on this. We'll build up in volume over the course of the next few weeks as we do this. First thing that we're going to start off with today is, for the plyo section, is we're going to be doing some different variations of pogos, alternating bounds. So the first thing we're going to do is just pogos. I would like to do these over hurdles, but I don't have hurdles here. We're going to do pogos for height. We're going to do about 15 meters on each of this, 2 sets total. And then we're going to go alternating bounds for height, 2 sets total on that, maybe 15 to 20 meters, just depending on how it feels. We're going to do alternating bounds, but doubles of them. So what that means is we're going to go right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And we'll do 2 sets of those, covering about 20 meters total on that as well. And that's going to be the end of the kind of extensive, intensive plyos for the end of the day. So 2 sets each, 15 to 20 meters on both of those, starting off with the pogos, and let's get after it. All right, so that's it for today's session. Mondays are going to be very boring in terms of probably what you guys would like to see on YouTube. But I think it's important to kind of show these sessions, because the last few videos I put up things of, you know, me running 40s, broad jumps, 1 rep maxes on power cleans, 1 rep max on the jerk. That's the kind of stuff that's exciting to watch. But reality is, this is the work that is done in order to get you to those positions, to have training sessions like those, and to have a week where you're going to be testing some stuff and you see some really impressive numbers being put up. This is the type of work that doing this now, even though it's not the most exciting thing to be doing, but it is going to be some of the most important work that needs to be done in order for me to be able to run a 60 or run 100 at what I would consider to be a decent time. And this is the type of stuff that isn't shown a lot because it's not, like I said, it's not sexy to see this on YouTube or watch it on Instagram, social media, wherever it might be. Like watching somebody run 110 meters at a very slow pace isn't an exciting thing to do. But showing off this type of session and all the sessions that I do, what it does really is just shows you that like there's a lot of work that goes in to when those fun sessions end up happening. A lot of people don't see that, and I think it's really cool to kind of show this off and show that there's a lot of work to be done. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to have another week like I did last week for probably 4 months. The plan that I have in my head right now is we're bringing everything back down and we're starting from kind of a base level, very general in terms of what we're training for. So building up like a solid base on the strength work, building up a solid base on the running work, which looks like a lot lower weights, a lot more volume, a lot less intensity, a lot more volume on the track, doing the work that allows you to have a good foundation to build upon in order to do those really cool things later on. So that's gonna be the session for today. I'm gonna go put some sunglasses on so I don't give myself a headache from squinting my eyes all day long. Try to edit this video for you guys. Hopefully it comes out well. Like I said, from what I see on the screen, it's really bright out here. The contrast on the thing is all off. So hopefully the video comes out really well. But other than that, tomorrow we're going into the gym and we are going to have our first strength session for this training cycle. I'm really excited about it for 2 reasons. 1, it's a big session. We're going to be doing a lot of volume. 2, we're going to be doing some different types of training than what you guys have been seeing for the last few weeks. So the split that I'm on right now has changed. We're still doing Mondays at the track, Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the gym, Thursday at the track, Fridays and Saturdays at the gym. But what we're doing on each of those days has changed up a little bit, and I'm excited to show you guys what that's going to be. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll get after it.